Let's move on now to the Washington Commanders in our training camp series preview. And we're going to break down why some of the top stories is going to focus around Sam Howell and his overall development during the training camp. And those are the stories that to focus on over the next couple of weeks. But before we do that, if you have not already, hit the subscribe button and also ring the bell to get notified when Ryan and I create new content. We have a bunch more content coming out throughout training camp. We're doing a preview for all 32 teams. We're also doing weekly prediction videos throughout the entirety of the regular season. So if you want to see those Commanders prediction videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to get notified when we create new content. And Ryan, let's get into it here. Yeah, so the top story right now going into training camp is absolutely going to be the quarterback situation. I also wanted to talk about the secondary a little bit as well, because I think that might be the second big question mark. But everything in between, the Commanders are actually extremely good at. Their offensive line seems to be improving. They addressed the spot. They also got some good young talent in the draft as well, I think, for good depth pieces. Defensive front and the front seven don't really need to compliment them any more than we've already done. And it's the same with everybody else. So the real question is going to be then obviously Sam Howell and his development. He is going to be the starter day one. I mean, maybe they have a quarterback competition, but I feel like Jacoby Brissett's more going to be there for kind of veteran experience, helping the young guy walk through, and also really they need to test out to see if Sam Howell is the guy.
Jacoby Brissett sets the floor for that.
QB
room, in my opinion. He's not coming in there to really compete for the starting job, but if Sam Howell doesn't get the job done, then Jacoby Brissett will be put in. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, what we saw from him in his rookie season in 2022 was actually pretty impressive. I thought he did a pretty good job of managing the game, not making mistakes, and showed off a lot of his physical talents, which I thought was impressive. And then I think you couple that with the introduction of Eric Bieniemy into this offense, and he has the offensive coordinator who's been partially responsible for one of the best offenses in the league that we might have ever even really seen. And so this is the same guy that helped Patrick Mahomes become who he is, and has worked under Andy Reid for I think like 8 years.
A long time.
Yeah. So you couldn't really ask for a better mentor in Eric Bieniemy, and then you also have an experienced vet in his ear in Jacoby Brissett. And so, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to watch. I'm very excited to watch his progress there. And maybe they found a late round gem. Or I guess mid round gem.
But for the Commanders, it's perfectly set up for them to truly see what they have in Sam Howell. I mean, the skill position players can't really get much better. Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel. That's a solid receiving trio. I'd put them up against majority of the other receiving trios in the league. They have a good running back combo with Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson. They did also draft Chris Rodriguez, which I think could be a little interesting flyer late on. Add some good depth. But so his development, and then also including Eric Bieniemy, it's going to be key for him to show that he is the guy. Love that floor, Jacoby Brissett, and also too then for Eric Bieniemy as well. I mean, to see this is his first time, kind of doesn't have that Andy.
He's outside the nest for the first time.
And that's what I really want to see, like his great talents. Because you're right, it seemed like every single offseason he was the coach that. It would be he's the next head coach starting job. Everybody wants to see him, but the Chiefs kept going far into the playoffs, so it was they couldn't really get his interviews. Maybe some other things that we don't know about why he wasn't selected or waited on. But now we're going to be able to see it. We're going to see him implement his philosophy into this offense, which by all means should be very flexible and could scheme up to different types of formations and plays. And that combined with Sam Howell showing that he can be the guy, that's going to be the storyline to watch, seeing how this offense develops with Sam Howell under center. So
definitely.
I want to switch gears a little bit onto the defensive side. And as we mentioned, the front seven, that's going to be there should not be very much change. I mean, it's one of the best front four in general that in the entire league that we've seen for a long time. But their Achilles heel has always been the secondary. Especially over the past couple of years.
Mhm.
And they addressed the secondary from the get-go with their first 2 picks, Emmanuel Forbes in the first round, Jartavius Martin in the second round. They have a young secondary, except for Kendall Fuller, who was drafted back at 16. Everybody else has been drafted and is still on their rookie contract. That, as of right now, according to our lads, is on the first team for the defense. So seeing their development, seeing how well they gel together, because if they can just be average, then – I mean, this front seven is going to eat. They are going to terrorize offensive lines all year long. They just need to be average, minimum.
No, I mean, this defense, what was that, 2 or 3 years ago, won the division pretty much by themselves. And I know that this division was a lot worse a couple years ago, but this defensive front is easily top 5. You could make an argument they're top 3 in the league. Easy. And if this secondary can come along, this is going to be a very formidable defense for a lot of these offenses. Especially, I think you look at this division and Philadelphia, they're going to want to run the ball. You're going to have to be good up front. Dallas, Dak has shown if you can get after him, you can throw him off. And then the Giants probably have the weakest offensive line in this division. And both of the games with the Giants last year were razor thin. So it's just going to be really interesting to see how big of an impact this defense, or how much this defense can improve. And if they can improve, they're going to make a very big impact on the outcome of the season for the Commanders.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, it's going to be crucial, I think, for the Commanders, because they offensively are just not up to snuff compared to the other 3 teams in their division. It's not really fair to say, because they have a really good offense, but it's just the other offenses are just – that shows how good that they are. I think maybe skill position player-wise, it might be a little bit better than the Giants, especially, too, if Saquon doesn't come back or holds out for as long as possible. But even though they still have Brian Dable as well, who showed how effective he can be in this offense with very little. So if they have improved on the offensive skill side, I think that they could even keep improving. And so it's going to be – the Commanders have to have a very well-rounded team, and that's where the secondary is really going to have to step up, because they're going to be going up against a lot of top competition throughout their division. And so the NFC is gettable just to make the playoffs, and after that, it can happen in the playoffs. I would say the Commanders are in the top half of teams in the NFC. I would say they're actually middle of the road. I would say they're between maybe 7 and 10. I'd say they're between 7 and 10. So they have that opportunity to make that 7th or 6th wild card spot. They just got to find the right pieces.
No, yeah, definitely. And that, to me, I think the NFC, there is a pretty big drop off after you get the playoff contenders, and the Commanders just happen to be in the division where every team is a playoff contender. And so that is just a little bit unfortunate, but hey, that's just, as Bruce Almighty said, that's how the cookie crumbles.
That's just football.
So let's go ahead and wrap up the Commanders training camp preview there. If you have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below on what you think of the Washington Commanders going into 2023. Think they're going to be good and make the playoffs, or do you think they're going to kind of continue this quarterback carousel that they've been on for a little while and going to fall short of the playoffs once again? So let us know down below, and other than that, we will see you guys next time.